one word repeats that Lucy has from words that her mom said,
Yeah.
especially like at the end in the market.
I forget that one. I laughed, but I can't remember exactly what she said.
I think it was like cock or something.
Yeah, it's cock
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it is cock.
Oh man. Hey, El Toddo.
What's going on?
We got a podcast, The Buff and the Blazer. If I was a listener, where would I go to find more?
You can check us out on our website, thebuffandtheblazer.com. Drew over there writes a article that goes along with every single episode.
You can find all kinds of little extras on the articles, and you can listen to the podcast right there. Also, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, we're on Twitter at Buff and Blazer. Follow us there.
Get those clicks, people.
The Buff and the Blazer.
Welcome to the Buff and the Blazer, episode 26. I'm Drew, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and yours, Mr. El Toddo.
What's up, man?
How's it going, my man?
It's going good. Starting to feel like summer up here.
Oh, yeah. Down here, too. It's getting pretty hot that time of year. I feel like the last few shows we've done, we've kind of missed the mark in terms of the quality of films that we've...
You think?
I think we've been a little bit off. So this might be a good opportunity to get back on the horse.
We got a rebound here. Nice rebound on this movie.
I think we got a good one here. This one that we're doing is A Good Woman is Hard to Find, directed by Abner Pastal. And you and I both saw it. What did you think?
I was really surprised at how good it was from every aspect. So I watched the trailer and immediately I liked the core storyline. And what really caught me off guard was how beautiful the cinematography was in most of the movie. And then just from like a gore and a hardcore factor, it hit on every level for me, except like a comedy, because there's not supposed to be any comedy in this movie. So
yeah,
every level it hit for like a dramatic
although it has little
thriller.
Sprinkles in there. Has little tiny sprinkles of comedy right at the perfect places.
Really, really small.
Yeah.
But almost like in like a evil way. You know?
Yeah.
Like the villain, he has a couple of funny lines.
Yeah.
But he's pretty evil, so they don't come across very laugh out loud like, you know?
Right.
But no, I really, really liked it, man. All the acting was good. I love seeing lots of foreign actors in a movie, and I loved it, man.
Yeah, this one's a particularly Irish film. And
set in Northern Ireland, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Kind of, that's UK territory, isn't it?
Yeah, to my knowledge. This is a film I've wanted to see for a while. I just really, really like Sarah Bolger as an actress. I think she's been in a lot of television, and she's really good at just portraying a wide range of different character types. And so when I found out she was going to be in this film and it looked pretty dark, I was like, man, I got to watch this. So we finally got it on our list, and we've been talking about it for a few weeks. But when I actually got to sit down and watch it, this has to be one of the more realistic films I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, hyper-realistic.
It's hyper-realistic. And I'm talking like on the level of like a 1917 type realism. Like this is something that could happen to anyone at any time of the day, I think.
Yeah. There's nothing unbelievable in the story at all.
No, and not even just in terms of the story itself, but in terms of how it looks, the living conditions of the people in this movie, even like the gore. There's a lot of gore in this movie, and it's like hyper, ultra realistic.
Yeah.
And
it's squirmish.
Yes.
It'll make you cringe for sure.
Yeah. for sure. But it's done so in a way where it's not meant to be some kind of like slasher porn or anything like that, murder porn.
No,
It
no.
serves the story. And I love how effective the director was at getting you into the mind of this main character and understanding this pain she's feeling. And that realism really gets you into that world and that mindset. And I appreciated everything about this film from top to bottom. I was kind of blown away. And looking at Abner Pastal's filmography, this is his first feature film, if I'm not mistaken.
Bravo.
Yeah, it's either his first or his second, but he hasn't done a lot of features. He's done mostly shorts, and he's done some TV. But yeah, I think this is actually his second feature film. But his last one, Road Games, was in 2015. Even still, this guy paid attention in film school, if he even went to film school. I mean, good God, it's shot really well. It's well directed. The story's tight. Everything just meshes well together, and I was really blown away.
It's like insanely beautiful cinematography.
Yeah.
Contrasted with like this really kind of horrific plot line
Yeah.
that's going down. And that's really impressive to like have this major beauty quality to how everything's shot, but it's such a dark story.
Yeah. Did you read any like synopsis or anything like that before you actually watched it?
No, I think when we were trying to decide what to do, I read the little bio on IMDb, and that was it. It's literally one sentence.
Okay.
A recently widowed young mother will go to any lengths to protect her child as she seeks the truth behind her husband's murder. That's all I read before I saw the movie.
Okay, cool. I think this is one of those films where the least you know, the better off you are.
Yeah.
Because it's like even as things are developing, as the main plot gets going, and you have sort of a vague sense of what's going to happen, when it all kind of swings in motion and the plot starts going, it takes you back a little bit. Like it's pretty startling
and
almost.
heavy.
Yeah. and very sudden.
Yeah.
And I love that about it. I kind of had a pretty good idea of what the film was about, and even when the main plot point happened with a certain character, even I was kind of like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting that to happen like the way it did. It happened so suddenly. And you're kind of like, you go from this sort of slow build-up to being thrust right into the action. But by that point, you have a good sense of who these characters are.
Yeah, it kind of caught me off surprise because I figured this was going to be our June rendition of Hot Chick Kicking Ass.
Yeah.
And it is that movie, but it's not what you think in terms of like her just fucking people up like Lorraine in Atomic Blonde or anything. But it still does fit into that genre, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things I appreciate most about this film is, in a sense, it is like a hot chick kicking ass. So I guess this covers.
Yeah, it checks the box.
But at the same time, it's like a hot chick kicking ass in an ultra believable, realistic, and very difficult, disturbing sort of way.
Yeah, it's a much more realistic version, I guess I would say. Like, the spy movies and stuff are cool and entertaining.
Yeah.
But there's a lot in there that's not very believable.
Right.
This movie, it's like just hyper realistic and really empowering on the female end.
Yeah.
And super graphic, dude. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, as soon as I saw the first little bit of graphic violence, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
El Toddo is going to dig this. I'll just kind of like, from the beginning, the character starts off in one place, and you really get the sense that the world has come tumbling down on the main character.
Oh, yeah.
And she's completely lost control.
When it rains, it pours.
Yeah, she's living there's a whole past to her husband and what happened to him, and it's tormenting her, it's tormenting her kids, her son in particular, and they're in a place that's just completely sort of dark and gray and hopeless. And it's like life is kind of slipping out of control for them. And as the film goes on, it's like little bits of control start to come back into her grasp.
In a really crazy way.
Yeah, and totally almost unabated by her. It's just completely random almost that this happens.
Yeah.
And she takes control of the situation in her own way, kind of on the fly. And
But all because of necessity.
yeah,
you know what I mean?
good.
She takes it's really beautiful. She takes like this horrible sequence of situations that happen to her, and then she packages. They're all bad, in like every sense, you know.
Mhm.
And then she packages that into a more positive outcome at the end, even though it's horrific.
Yeah.
And we want to be pretty tame with giving away this stuff because we want people should go see this movie because it's awesome.
Yeah, we want to try and avoid as many spoilers as possible.
For sure, because this movie's totally worth seeing with a fresh mind, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess the big takeaway is that you start off in a certain place like you would expect for any film, and the plot gets going, and as the plot's going, you learn a little bit more about each character involved, and especially the main character. Like I feel like by the end of this film, you know exactly who that character is, and that's always a sign of a good film for me. And then where the film leaves you at the end, it's just really gratifying.
Yeah.
But it's not just a happy ending. It's like
No.
there were consequences that led to that moment.
Yeah.
And
Consequence
it's
is a
difficult.
perfect word for a movie like this.
Yeah. And this film does a good job of showing you actions and where they take you and how people react to certain situations and the effects of those. And I think I love films like that where it's not just a good ending or a bad ending or a happy or sad ending. It's like you're really just kind of questioning yourself and you're like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be cheering right now or
Oh, I was cheering. You kidding me?
yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. So I like that the director kind of leaves it in that way where it's a little more complex in terms of the way you feel about things at the end of the film. But it's you do feel satisfied, I think, at the end, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I know I've mentioned it before, but in terms of story construction, this movie is very similar to Salt and Sea, that Val Kilmer movie I told you about.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
It's very similar
Really? Okay.
in terms of story construction.
When did that one come out?
Oh, dude, it's like maybe 2001, 2002 or something like that.
Post The Saint?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so.
We're going to do that movie at some point, too.
It's good, dude.
I don't care. I love that movie. As the film was going on, though, like... Well, let me ask you this, because I feel like I ask you this every time, and I'm genuinely curious. But was the plot predictable for you, or did it kind of leave you on your toes?
It was kind of one of those feelings where like you knew bad shit was happening and you were kind of like almost like in a horror movie where you're telling the character like don't make that bad decision.
Yeah.
Because it has as the story really starts to develop and thicken with old Toddo.
Yeah.
She's making some necessary choices, but then also making some really kind of poor choices from a legal standpoint. I'll put it that way. And you're just kind of like, oh my God, this is like snowballing of bad decisions, and like how is this going to come back around, kind of thing, you know?
Right.
And it does come back around, but it had me anxious and like paranoid. The whole movie.
Yeah.
Not paranoid because I was stoned, but paranoid in the sense of like you get that feeling if you're like doing something illegal when you're a kid, you know, like you're TPing or knock dishing. You get that like, oh, I'm doing something illegal cops feeling. That's what this made me feel like. As the story developed, I was just like, oh my God, like the legal implications of this are making me queasy, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, that on top of like things that are happening visually just really turn your stomach. But I'm glad you mentioned the kind of stress factor too. I was experiencing the same feeling I had when we were watching Hidden Gems.
Uncut Gems.
I mean, Uncut Gems. Sorry, Hidden Gems. Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. Like that stress level in my stomach. And I was just like, don't do that.
Yeah, that's
Don't
a
do that.
good call.
You're digging like a deeper hole for yourself. Don't do it.
Totally.
And yeah, that's like you can compare it to Uncut Gems in that sense, where this film makes you feel something physical in terms of like all the mental shit that's going on in your head. And sometimes those are like when you get those sensory type films, those are the ones that are hard to get out of. Like you're just completely drawn in. And this one will make you feel something in your stomach.
Oh yeah, I
think.
bet it's made people puke.
This is one I wish I could have seen in a theater.
Yeah, me too.
Oh man. But yeah, my TV, it did the best job it could. I watched it like pitch black and had this on, and it was awesome.
Was there anything in the story that didn't fit for you? Because for me, it felt like bulletproof.
Yeah, no, for me too. It was so tight. Like the writing and the story structure was so tight, even with the sort of ambiguous background in the beginning of the whole past with her husband.
Yeah.
You get like little drops and mentions, but even as the film progresses, you get a better idea of what's going on there.
Yeah.
And the way they do it too, it's not just boring like background information or boring exposition. They drop it in a way that's like very interesting, and it's almost like you're building a puzzle as the film goes on. And as you're doing that, you're getting a better picture of not only like the main character and what's going on in her head, but also her past.
Yeah.
And oh man, it's so well done. And like you said, it's almost foolproof. Like in terms of any plot holes or anything like that. I couldn't catch anything.
No, I think if there was one thing that was maybe a bit over the top was the level of gangster that the main villain was.
Oh, okay.
That's maybe the one thing that was, but it still works. But
Okay.
maybe just the one thing that was a little over.
Like in terms of his power.
Yeah.
Okay, I
In
got
terms
that
of
too.
his power in that borough or neighborhood,
Yeah.
or section of the town that they're in.
Right. Yeah.
What do they call it? The
that's
estate?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they called it in the show. It's like a I don't know if it's like a public housing type thing, but it's like apartment complexes.
Yeah, basically. That's what I took it as, like low income housing.
Yeah, something along those lines.
That's a good point though, because like if I had one minor criticism of the film, which didn't affect my overall experience of the film at all, was the main villain, Leo. Like, you bring up a good point, like in terms of the power he has in this little town, it makes it seem like you're kind of questioning no one else has challenged this guy.
Right?
And they don't really go into how he gained this position or how he gained this foothold.
He's got his heavy metal club, dude.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because you believe it as soon as he busts out a hammer. So it's like...
Yeah, that's because it kind of brings it back around, if it is, it's just a ruthless level respect that he has.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, I guess he doesn't really come across as like the super duper high level gangster.
No. And he's not even like the most intimidating guy on the planet or anything.
No, he's a normal sized dude.
Yeah.
Who loves his proper English.
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed.
Yeah, anytime they give a character like that some kind of little quirk, it always makes it more interesting.
Like the part when he's demanding those guys to give him a metaphor.
Yeah.
Like I actually really like that.
Yeah. Oh man, that was brutal. But yeah, he did a great job of just making it seem like he could bust at any point and just go completely nuts. This is Leo Miller in the movie, but he's portrayed by Edward Hogg, and yeah, he did a great job. Did you have any like last thoughts though before we move on, like into some of these characters?
No, I mean, like I
Well, let me
said.
ask you about the ending real quick though.
Okay, okay.
Did it work for you? I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah.
in general.
On all levels.
Okay. Okay.
Even the fucking little pedophile threat at the very end of the movie when she gets
Oh man.
she gets her
Yeah.
little revenge on that dickhead security guard.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, it all landed so well with me. I was so happy.
Yeah, and that's another strength of the story. Like there are little moments in there that are planted in the beginning
Mhm.
that you get to track and trace at the end, and it just shows you the growth of where people are from point A to point B.
Yeah.
It's so well done. But yeah, same. I was completely sold on the ending, and I loved it. And it just
Because
feel
that
like
scene at the end is after she kind of has her super triumph. But
Yeah.
when she has her triumph, it's like she's still like fucking hysterical kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But that shows like the level of confidence that she's gained in herself
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
of
yeah.
her triumph.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just not going to take any shit from anyone anymore. Like
Yeah.
I really liked that as like the final ender, you know?
Yeah. And like this is just a small little point that you wouldn't even pay attention to, so I'll say it. But in the beginning, there's someone standing outside the market that's handing out political flyers. She takes one in the beginning. At the end, she just like was like, "Fuck off."
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like another little just way of the director saying, "Yeah, this character's in a different place."
That's a good catch, man. I saw that, but it didn't register
Yeah.
with me until just now.
Yeah. So it's like, see, that's when you have a good director, they track things like that, and it's a huge payoff at the end if you're looking for it.
The details, man.
Yeah, it's all there. So yeah, the ending was great on this film. I really liked it.
Me too.
But yeah, so Leo, the villain. Let me ask you about the main girl though, the main woman, Sarah,
So
played by Sarah Bolger.
I've never seen her in anything before,
Okay.
and she was awesome.
She's kind of famous for being in that show, The Mayans.
The Mayans.
It's like it's a biker gang like
Oh,
drug cartel kind of TV show.
it's a Latino version of Sons of
Yes.
Anarchy.
I think it's a direct spin-off, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So she got pretty famous because of that.
Oh, I've never seen that, so that would make sense.
Yeah.
But I thought she did a really good job. The level of stress that she's under and the sleep deprivation, that's what
Yes.
I thought they did a great job of with the makeup, is the bags under her eyes, kind of illustrating how sleep deprived she is.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was fantastic, man. I bought every little bit of her in this movie. There wasn't one part where I was like, oh, she's acting. I was so into the story that it was like I felt bad for her the whole time, you know?
Yeah. And one thing I really like about her performance is she's really frantic, and you understand why when you get to know her a little bit more. And she just pulls it off in a really natural, realistic way.
Yeah.
Like if that were to happen to anyone that you knew or would have happened to yourself, like I could see anyone reacting the way she did in her position
Yeah.
if that were to happen. And yeah, she does a really good job of not overacting or trying to oversell those really frantic emotions. And I think that's hard sometimes. Some people take it a little way over the top
Yeah.
with the frantic parts of the performance, but she does it really, really well. And when her character starts to turn, she gains that confidence. You still buy it because she doesn't become, Lorraine from Atomic Blonde.
No, not at all.
Like, she's still the character that you understand and knew from the beginning that's slowly starting to get back on the bike and get a hold on her situation. And that's really hard to do. And that's one of the reasons I really like this film, is because you believe that a character can go from where she started off from to where she ends up.
And it's almost like she gets pushed in that direction.
Yeah.
because of the circumstances that she keeps finding herself in.
Yeah.
And I thought she did a really good job of portraying how she felt about the police officers with like never really addressing it in dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
So like even though she's making these seemingly really bad decisions, you know her motivation
Yeah.
for essentially not cooperating with police, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you think you get she totally plays off that these are just like really poor acts of judgment.
Yeah.
And not terribly calculated, yet she turns it all into a positive by the end.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was awesome, man. I want to see her in more stuff.
Yeah, it's like a survival instinct.
Totally.
That she
Totally.
has.
That's a good way to put it. Like, yeah, because she's almost like she's subjected to both fight or flight responses the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
And she executes both of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's really cool.
She explores the fight side of things, and she's like, oh.
Yeah, and there's almost even a little bit of like Stockholm syndrome.
Oh yeah.
With her interaction with Toddo, played by Andrew Simpson.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to give away. I'm trying really hard to talk around everything. And they only did really one long zoom in on her face, and it wasn't painfully long, like all these other movies. No. It was like the perfect amount of time. Because I even said it. I was like, "Oh, here's the long zoom in." And before I was like, "It's gone too far." Boom! Right then, it changed, and I was like,
"Yeah,
right.
no. I still have
kudos
those scars.
to the director." I'm traumatized from these other Lamb and Capone long zoom ins.
Yeah, It's funny sitting down watching that. I said the same exact thing in my mind. I was like, let's see how far they take this one.
Yes, exactly. And it was like 22 seconds, not a minute and a half.
And then I'm like, oh, this director knows what he's doing. Cool. But like even the scenes where she's in the bathroom in the very beginning of the film, and the camera's just on her and stays on her in a medium shot for a while, that's where you utilize those kinds of shots. And they're effective.
Yeah.
Not when you just have them randomly placed and they're just like, 30-second zoom-ins. Like, I think that's her introduction in the film, right? Is in the bathroom.
Yeah, it is. And you can tell from how good her acting is that this woman just went through some fucking serious shit.
Yeah.
And then it pays off, an hour and 10 minutes later or whatever.
And the way it opens, too, with that. Those silent introductions to characters without any dialogue. Sometimes those are the most effective, depending on how they're shot. Yeah. But it's really interesting because you get to see traces of something that happened to her, and you're like, whoa, what happened? But you definitely get to go back and see exactly what happened. You mentioned Toddo a bit. He's like one of the main characters, Andrew Simpson. What did you think of him?
He's the main cog of the whole plot line, essentially.
He gets things put in motion.
Oh man!
For me, he was like one of the more interesting characters. I thought, like there was a line between him wanting to do right by her in certain ways, but also just being a complete moron and like not understanding the gravity of the situation, and also just being completely reckless and low life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a scumbag.
Yeah.
And they try a little bit to make his character slightly endearing.
Mm-hmm.
With the whole money aspect.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I did not like him at all.
Yeah.
But he was a really good actor. Wicked haircut.
Yeah, his accent, I think, out of all of them, was one of the harder ones for me to understand.
Okay.
I had some subs going
all right.
at some points with him. But I bought him in that role. Like, I haven't seen him in anything else really, but yeah, that was great casting to me. Like, in my opinion, with a character like this,
everything fit really well,
And he has like that look in his eyes too, where there's that danger factor, like stranger danger.
Yeah.
I almost want to have like a second like spoiler discussion of this in a later podcast.
It's hard to talk
But
about it
I know,
because like
it is. It's
he's
so
the
hard.
main cog of the story,
Yeah.
and he's like kind of like a villain, but
Yeah.
slightly you feel like the story could go in
Yeah.
a way where he's helping her,
Mhm.
particularly with the finding out who her husband's murderer is.
Yeah.
So it really like kind of keeps you guessing
Mm-hmm.
on where it's going to develop with their interaction, Sarah and Toddo.
Yeah, with their relationship, I could never put my finger on the pulse in terms of like where I thought it could go. And I like the point where she sees an opportunity to use him almost to get information.
Yeah.
And while she's kind of in a really messed up situation, that gives her some sense of agency. So she's not just like this helpless character.
Yeah.
And then by the end of that, she takes things completely into her hands.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, I really like the depth they give. I mean, a lot of the characters, but mostly her. Like, I love how they don't make her. It's not like a Cinderella story. It's not like damsel in distress becomes warrior princess. Like, it's not like that. And I think that's the most endearing part of this film. Like, you understand her past, but you never really see her as this, like, pitiful character. She's just... Those are the cards that she was dealt with, and that's what she's living in. And she decides to take things into her own hands.
Yeah, and it's almost like other people see her as pitiful,
Yeah.
and she's just trying to shake that off and
The
get,
world around her, actually.
Yeah, exactly, and she's like pulling it all together herself.
Yeah, including her mother.
Yeah.
And she was a character I actually, at first, I thought I hated. But they even develop her mom by the end of the film. Her name is Alice, played by Jane Brennan. And I loved that little mini arc that they give her, Sarah, and the relationship with her mom.
Yeah.
Like, at first, you kind of get the sense that her mom was just kind of shitty to her. Like, and then as the relationship goes on, you kind of understand where they're both coming from. And that moment between them in the house when she's at her mom's house, like later on in the film, I really liked that little interaction they have. It's kind of tender.
Oh,
And
the tender one. I was thinking the one where they flip out on each other, or the other one.
No. And that's all great too, because you understand kind of the
It has
scars that are there.
It has a very real feel to it, from
Yeah,
a family
absolutely.
sense.
Yeah. And their relationship, like, I feel like most of the relationships in this film is like complex. And once you understand where each of them are coming from, you appreciate that a little more once her mom kind of breaks down. I just really like that.
It's a very, what's the right word? Fulfilling, complimentary part of the story.
Yeah, but very realistic,
But very,
I'd say.
yeah, and very like not much screen time on it.
Right.
All short scenes.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too. I felt like there were no useless scenes in this movie.
No,
Like,
not
everything served the story well and kept the plot moving. Again, that's just the sign of a really tight, well-constructed film. Man, like, yeah, nothing felt like it needed to be cut out at all.
No, it's like it's really hard to pick apart because it's awesome.
Yeah.
The kids in the movie did a really good job, I thought, too. Ben and Lucy,
Yes.
Rudy Doherty, and Macy McCauley.
Yep.
They were super believable. I loved how Lucy kept saying Tito.
Yeah.
And every time you said it, or she said it at the end of the movie, you're just like cringing
Yeah.
because
Yep.
you know what it's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know. And that's the thing, too. Like, they're just being kids.
Totally.
And the whole incident with what's going on in the house and Ben, like, you believe all of that, too. But some of my favorite moments in the film are the little one-word repeats that Lucy has from words that her mom said,
Yeah.
especially, like, at the end in the market.
I forget that one. I laughed,
Oh, man.
but I can't remember exactly what she said.
I think it was like cock or something.
Yeah, it's cock
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it is cock.
Yeah. Oh man, I loved how even the kids have an arc. Like they help enhance Sarah's character in that way.
Yeah.
Everything kind of like the world around her reflects on where she's at in her story, and then at the end it's the same thing, only it's reflecting a totally different, not completely different, but believably different place that she's in at the end. Really well done. Was there anyone else that stuck out?
I'll
I'll
give a shout out to Packy Lee Mackers in the movie. He's in Peaky Blinders, and he's awesome in this. He's kind of a very similar character
Oh, sweet.
in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, there's not a whole lot of characters in it.
No, it's a very focused story.
And the two guys that couldn't come up with metaphors, sorry guys, Josh Bolt and Daryl McCormick.
Yeah.
Sorry, boys.
Yeah. Better luck next time. Oh man.
But yeah, no, Sarah steals the show
Yeah, she's
completely.
so good. Yeah, really, really well done. Well, we mentioned it at the top of the show. I think this film looks amazing.
Yeah. It's probably the strongest part, I think,
Yeah.
of an all-around really strong movie. The cinematography is insane.
It enhances everything, I think. That's like color palette, that's getting into the heads of the characters. The film starts off, our introduction to Sarah is her in the bathroom, and they're just shots of her kind of sulking in this headspace. And most of that is her performance, but the camera, the way it's set up, the shot selection, and the way everything's framed complement everything. And you see that throughout the whole film. I really loved the drone shots of the town.
Yeah, me too.
There's a lot of good drone work. And kind of like a favorite thing of mine is whenever there's like those aerial shots of a character at the very end of a film where you start off on the ground with them and then you go back up into the sky, but then they continue moving out of frame. I love that. And that was kind of where this film ended.
It seems to all have been shot in that location.
It seems like it, yeah.
Like nothing. I guess the house, could have been a studio.
It could have been.
But almost everything else in the movie feels like it was shot on location. Like the outdoor shots when they're walking around in the complex.
Yeah.
Where they are just so awesome.
Yeah.
Like there's a point where she's going back to the intersection where her husband was shot.
Uh-huh.
And she's asking Ben on if he remembers anything.
Yeah.
And the camera like comes out behind, they're like walking behind it, and then they start to have a conversation, and the camera like goes all the way around them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like other people walking around in the complex, and it's all just like, you can tell that's like a real shot where they're, it's just a real location.
Yeah.
And it's literally one guy with a camera and maybe another guy walking right next to him shooting this.
Yeah.
It had just such a realistic feel to it. It was insane.
Yeah. And so remember the thing I mentioned last week about low angles and how they're meant to emphasize a character's power?
Yeah.
So in this film, it's used correctly. So like towards the end of the film, as we get more shots of Sarah, the angles start to get a bit lower on her. And you start to see this change in dynamic with the camera's relationship to her as she progresses as a character.
Mm.
And it's something you have to pick up on as you watch it, but I noticed that. And I also just really liked how they chose to frame characters in dialogue scenes. So like I'm thinking of the shots with like her and her mom at her mom's house whenever she's there. You get a little bit of the shaky camera in some of those scenes, but nothing like last week's film.
No.
Where it's just meant to be shaky just for shakes and giggles.
Yeah, there's a shakes per minute quota.
Yeah. This is done in a way that gives you a sense of intimacy. like you're almost a fly on the wall in the room with them. And then when it would cut to shots of just her, I liked how they played around with the rule of thirds, where like they didn't just have her in the center of the frame or like off center. They really kind of frame her in an interesting way where there's a lot of space on one side of the camera and she takes up a little bit, and it's like it's almost like a visual representation that she's thinking a million things and you can see all the empty space on the side of her head. It's really, I don't know, it just seemed really effective to me.
Yeah, the dialogue scenes aren't what you think. Not like over the shoulder looking at the other person and then back up. They're not like that at all. Like when they're talking in the kitchen, sometimes you can. Both of them are in frame, but one of them it's the back of their head.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like everything about it just had a super realistic feel to it.
Yeah.
I don't know any other way to describe it.
Like the pivotal scene in her house.
Epic.
I wouldn't even know where to begin shooting that, like how to shoot it. And it's a mixture of giving you a peek, but not enough, but just enough to disturb the hell out of you.
Yeah, it's gruesome, man, and it looks real.
And that's visuals, but that's also like sound mixing too and sound effects. Oh, it's chilling.
Yeah. Hacksaw, dude.
Oh yeah.
Woo!
Bone crunching. It's
yeah, it's gruesome. That scene will make people puke. Like squeamish folk.
Yeah. For anyone who watches this film, that's the scene that will stay with you. You won't forget it.
And that kind of plays into the how good the effects are. It's like nothing looks like an effect.
No.
At all.
Like I feel they were like very thrifty with their budget, but they utilized every penny of their budget. Like they trimmed all the fat out and only spent time on what was necessary. And you get the feeling of everything, like in terms of the whole production. But like the car stuff, the car chasing and stuff like that. There's not a whole lot of special effects, but there are a lot of good practical effects.
Yeah.
Like the sequence where the car gets involved and it smashes into the back of the other one. Like
it's really good.
It is good. And it looks like they actually smashed those two cars together.
Yeah.
That's probably most of their special effects budget. Was just paying for those cars. But even like the scene at the very end, the final confrontation at the end.
Okay.
That was really well choreographed.
Yeah.
And believable.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It doesn't seem like at all choreographed like an action scene.
Yeah,
it
like she wasn't Tom Cruise.
Almost this slow roll to it, you know?
Yeah. And you never got the sense that like she could anticipate another person's moves or anything. Like it all seemed like she was reacting on the fly. Man, yeah, it's just really high caliber quality stuff from all aspects of the film, like all aspects of the movie making. What did you think of that last sequence at the end? Like the final one? Because even that caught me off guard.
The triumph?
Yes.
Yeah, I was, fuck, it's going to be hard to talk about this.
Well, I'll say that you get a little snippet of what might happen. I caught that, like, because the camera pans over to her closet at one point, and I'm like, okay, this could play into what's going to happen.
Yeah, I noticed the boots were still there. I didn't notice that the other thing was there.
Yeah,
I thought that was in the trash bin, so that totally caught me off guard.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Oh, sweet!" And then the fact that she had her surprise for everyone, I was like, "Oh, cool," because I was kind of like expecting like a hand-to-hand combat throwdown at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way it went down caught me off guard, and I absolutely loved it. Because I
didn't see that at all. Like her surprise.
And I will say, Leo's reaction at the I loved that, dude. When he's just like a giddy schoolboy.
Yeah.
Right when, she reveals her big reveal.
Yeah, he's like, check out the balls on this chick.
Yeah,
And he
dude.
just starts cracking up.
Yeah. It's really cool to have something that gruesome come off as totally plausible and realistic in the context of the whole
Yeah.
movie. It doesn't seem
Yeah.
out of sorts at all considering
No.
the situations that led up to it, you know? It's so good.
Oh man, yeah, that was brutal. Yeah, really well done. And I mentioned this before on other films, but I love it whenever there's like a neon thing going
Yeah.
in any film. Like the colors that come across on camera always look really good. And when
Yeah.
she enters the club, that was
And
like
it's
the
only
icing on
at
the
the
cake.
end there, and I loved all the fucking
That was like the,
hair metal dudes headbanging in the crowd, dude. I love that shit.
There's Abner Pastal's little Atomic Blonde moment.
Yeah,
There's,
totally.
blue and pink neon lights.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, let's summon Lorraine here. But yeah, that was, oh man, really, really cool. Really well done. Let me ask you about the soundtrack of this movie, the score.
I really liked it.
Yeah, it's different.
It's totally different, and it was like pretty loud at portions of the movie,
Yeah,
and I like that. Like loud in not a cheesy way.
yeah. I think most films you can, if you pay attention to the soundtrack, it'll have a style.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that way with this film.
No, it's kind
Like
of all over the place, right?
Yeah, it has like this chameleon quality to it where it'll just adapt to whatever's happening. But at every moment that you do get soundtrack, I do feel like it enhances whatever's going on. I like the little piece at the end, like the very end of the film. It has that like throwback 80s vibe to it
Yeah.
as the shot pans out.
Yeah, I let it keep rocking as soon as all the credits rolled and everything. I just let it keep going because it was good, and I was stoked, and the shot kept going.
Yeah.
They
No, it was
they utilize silence really well in this movie too. It's like an awesome
yes.
combination of using them correctly.
Yeah. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that main scene in her house, I don't think there was any score there.
I think there's score once it almost goes montagey
Oh, okay.
for a bit,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
the really heavy parts,
Mhm.
there was no score, and it was like
All
you
sound
know
effects.
what the score was, yeah. And
Yeah,
I like that.
The marimba with with bones. Man, I'm really trying hard to like think of something to pick at in this movie, and I can't.
Me neither. The one
But that's
thing
fine, I'm
I'll
not
say
going
is,
to.
though, I didn't know that the black trash bag was in her closet. I thought it was just the boots, and I thought the boots were going to get her in trouble.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know the other item was there.
That was there.
Did
I
you?
figured- yeah, I saw it.
Okay, because they showed it earlier, and I couldn't remember. All I remembered seeing was the boots.
Yeah, so it's there.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, this is probably going to come into play somewhere. Oh man. I'm just thinking about her whole idea of doing that with the trash bags and just throwing it in people's random garbage cans.
It's a horrible plan.
Yeah, but it's something that I think 75-80% of people would do. in
Yeah,
that
that's the
situation.
realistic part of it.
That's the
Because
thing,
on
like-
your head, you're thinking like, no, like
Yeah.
they're gonna find them all, and you know.
They're like, this is foolproof. They could never trace this back.
Uh,
That was going through my head as I watched that.
it made you feel like you were committing those acts because
Yeah.
you could see the consequences of them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you could see how
Damn.
bad of a decision it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
But-
so believable, it's crazy.
Yeah, really realistic.
And the way it gets resolved is fantastic. You know, like,
Oh, yeah.
It's not just one of those things like this happened, but we're not going to tell you what the consequences are. And then it's like she gets off, and it's so hard to say it. The way she
Well,
gets
actually-
off is
Okay.
because of what she does.
No. You bring up a really good point. So my critique in the beginning, our critique, where we said that we don't understand why this guy's in the position he's in, and we don't understand how no one has challenged him. That plays into the resolution at the end. It's like, okay, finally someone decided to come and try and challenge this guy, and
That's the news story.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So that kind of fills in that hole a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I wasn't even saying it's a hole. I was saying they paid attention to even that small of a detail and paid it off.
Yeah. So there goes my one critique of the movie. It's
the golf clap.
Yeah. Oh man, this was such a good one.
Yeah, dude. Way to rebound. Good pick, man. You should be picking the movies more than me.
Well, no, you've picked some good ones, and I've picked some stinkers. So, but it's good to get back on the horse, I think.
So, what about love hates?
All right, there's not a lot of stuff I didn't love about this movie, but if I have to pick one thing, I loved how believable the story was, and I liked how real world the story was. And not in like the sense where it's real world because it's shitty and dark and grim, but real in the sense that I believe where the character's at, where she starts off, and then I believe where she ends up.
Okay.
And I'm totally invested in that arc, and it makes sense to me. And I don't have to suspend any sense of reality whatsoever. Like, I buy it. And for me, that's everything for me in this film. On top of all the great things we just discussed.
Yeah.
What about, and my hates? I mean, I didn't have a hate.
No.
I had one little minor maybe critique, but it got filled up. So we're good. What about you?
I loved the drone shots and that circling around the shot. Those are like my two favorite parts of the movie. Probably that circling around shot when she's talking to her son. For some reason, I was just like, wow, like it just really freaking hit me.
Yeah.
As like a really good, like new style, like it almost felt like an iPhone, like something someone could film on their iPhone kind of thing, but in the best way possible.
And the other thing about that little shot too is like it gives you a sense of kind of panic and like the frantic feel of everything.
Yeah,
like
because they're
dizzy.
like kind of far away from them.
Yeah.
And that's my absolute love. I love that shot. I don't really have any hates in the movie, to be honest. I can't really hate on any of it.
Yeah.
It was great.
All right.
It was fantastic.
Cool. All right, so this is the moment we've been waiting for. I'll let you start. Where are you ranking this film?
I'm giving it 5 bong loads, dude.
Ah, sweet.
It's damn good.
Yeah.
It's hard not. I can't find anything wrong with it, and it seems so original, and so many of the actors I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
That I bought it so much more, and it's such a realistic story. It's such like a really good example of a kind of a good thriller movie.
Yeah.
I think
this is what thrillers should be.
Yeah.
In terms of the genre.
So 5 bong loads, dude. It's a champ. So it joins JoJo, 1917, and Parasite.
Yeah.
That I've given 5s to.
All right, cool. I think I said once before that I only reserve 5s for films that really move me, and I was moved. I was completely moved by this movie.
Yeah.
I can't particularly say how I was moved, but I was definitely moved. So I'm giving this a 5. Like, it's just so well made. It's so well structured. It's an airtight story. The characters are really well developed and great. And Sarah Bolger kicks ass in this movie.
Yeah.
She does such a good job. And I'm so happy for her. And, like, everyone involved in this movie. It's a win. I can't wait to see what else this guy cranks out.
Yeah, sign me up, dude.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have the Buff and Blazer tracker on this guy. See what he has going on in the future.
Maybe we can ask him to make an ancient history movie.
Oh, yeah, well, He has an untitled Abner Pastel project in the works, so who knows?
Well, yeah, it's awesome. If it's only his second feature or whatever, freaking
Yeah.
bravo. It's so good.
Yeah.
I was shocked at how good it was.
Yeah, kudos. I think we can call it a wrap after that. After that gush session. It's well deserved.
Yeah, I
that-
can't shit on that movie. It's too good. Nothing to shit on.
Yeah, nothing. But yeah, that's episode 26 of The Buff and the Blazer. We just discussed the really, really great film, A Good Woman is Hard to Find, starring Sarah Bolger and directed by Abner Pastel. And we hope you guys give it a watch. It's definitely worth your time.
Totally.
We rented it. I rented it.
It was like $3.99 on Vudu.
Yeah. If I had known it'd been that good, I would have just bought it. But yeah, so give it a watch. We think you'll really enjoy it, and it will definitely have you feeling something. Thanks for sticking with us, and we will catch you guys on the next one.
See you later.